What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cultivating Conversations. I'm your host here, Farmer Jazz, bringing you straight up insights from innovators, entrepreneurs, and game changers out there making moves. But real quick, if you're loving the content, make sure you like, share, and hit the follow button. Your support helps keep these conversations cultivated. Now, let's get into today's episode. Conversations. This is your host here, Farmer Jazz. Got another great guest here, David McFly Mims. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm doing great.
And I'm calling.
Hope you're doing well yourself.
Yes, sir. Well, let's get right into it, man, because you got a lot of great things to share. People don't know who you are, so can you do us a favor, share who you are and some of the things that you're doing?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well, my name is David McFly Mims. First of all, I'm just a person that's really just trying to make a difference in the community and just trying to live the world every day, just being a survivor. I'll say it like this, I'm a filmmaker, photographer, activist, teacher in a lot of ways. Um, just a person in the community that's really just trying to make a difference, an innovator, as he could, as I would say, or you would say.
I like that. Man of many things. You're a MacGyver, basically. But I like to hear it. You're one of the first people I had that's been in the film industry and photography. Like, what got you into that?
Wow, that's really interesting. I'll say the genesis started probably like when I was in seventh grade. I had a teacher named Mr. Williams, and he was teaching English, but then there was like some days he would just pull out a camera and just, backdrop and was taking pictures, was having us take pictures and stuff like that. So I think that was like, the genesis. And another thing is that I was always a creative person, just doing music. My origin is music. I won a music scholarship to college, and I worked at Violator and Def Jam. So my origin is music. Um, I'll say the second phase of my genesis was um, I ran into Gangstar, the rap group Gangstar, Guru and DJ Premier, rest in peace, Guru. And I think I was just finishing high school, and I passed by the park in my block, and I just saw them just like standing there, and I was like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? What you doing?" It's like shooting a music video, and I was like, "Hey, can I be in the video?" And then they pointed me to like go to like those people over there, and I went, and it turned out to be a film crew. So a film production crew. So I end up doing stuff, like behind the scenes, assisting, and helping the crew shoot the video. And it was dope. I wasn't just, inside of the music video, but I was part of the production. And, thanks to Guru and DJ Premier, they gave me my first industry check. And they didn't even know me for like 5 minutes. And they gave me that opportunity. And, just thinking about it makes me cry because it's amazing somebody will just like, give another person an opportunity that they just don't even know. And I don't even think they even realize how much of an impact that made, for me in my life. It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's those art teachers in school, and then those opportunities. There's a lot of things that you said in it that I like, just because I'm just thinking about my childhood in high school. I was in improv. I never thought I would like improv because it's like, some of the people, they weren't the people that I was hanging out with in college. You're usually like, not college, high school. So you're very quickly at that point of life, and you kind of just want to be around your friends and your comrades. So improv was something new for me, but I was always good at it because like I've always been witty, always been want to have some jokes, and I could just do it instantaneously. It's not something that I really think about. But then once we started having the classes, we started practicing our craft. So it was kind of cool to get myself outside of the realm that I normally was in, which was basically mathematics and sports, whether it was track, football, or math. That's just who I was. I never thought about comedy or doing improv, but it was definitely a great way to get my feet wet. But when I graduated college, though, I had a similar situation to you, which was I was playing basketball, and one of my buddies, he had knew somebody that knew somebody out in California, and he was like, "Yo, you want to be in a short with Mike Epps?" I was like, "Whoa, what you mean, Mike Epps? Mike Epps?" He's like, "Yeah, Mike Epps." So he's doing a basketball skit down at Venice Beach. I was like, "Yeah, we are out, bro." I cleared my whole schedule. I'm like, "This is Mike Epps." So we get down there and basically film this short that he was doing of a series called "That's Racist," where he was kind of like poking jokes at like common things that we deem are racist. And this
Yeah.
one was White Boy Can't Jump. And a play off the movie that's out, but it also was like Mike Epps making fun of the common thought that white boys don't aren't that athletic and things like that. So it was super cool to just be there and see him in his element, how he's just as witty. I got to speak in it. If you ever get a chance, go on YouTube, look up "That's Racist," white man can't jump, and you'll see me in there talking about the history of the NBA. So it was fire. So it was fire. You see me with my glasses. They spelled my name wrong though. They spelled my name wrong, but it's all good.
That happens.
It was just I was just so happy just to get to chill with Mike Epps for a second, and I also got to chill with some up and coming WNBA stars like Chiney Nwumeke, like who's all over ESPN, and I was just like, yo, this is crazy, like taking pictures with them and just playing ball. First we started it up with just playing some pickup ball, but nah, it's always cool when somebody just gives you that random opportunity that might be nothing to them, but it's like everything to you, and it sparks a fire. And it kind of started me up with some of my podcasting. So I like that you brought that out. So you was talking about music though, and music's kind of what got you into where you're at. It was like your first step along your journey. Can you talk about some of the things you do with music to this day?
Oh yes, yes. I do like music production. So right now, I do music for like scoring and stuff like that. So that's what I love doing. And I still rap. I still rap.
Okay.
Still have some bars and everything. I kind of like how Donald Glover is moving, like he'll jump in and out whenever he wants to, but mostly what he's doing now is film. So I kind of like, just being like at that stage where, if I feel like putting out a single, I'll do that. But, there's so many other things, to me. So that's what I like. Reference to like, music, writing, definitely write my own raps, write my own songs. I love the MPC. I first started with I'll say when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. My mother and my father bought me a little Casio keyboard. It was the SK1, I believe. And that kind of like, started, and it had like a little sampler, and the sample was, I think, was like about 3 seconds and all that, 3 or 4 seconds. So with that sample, I used to make like funny sounds. Like I used to burp into like the sample. So I made like samples. I used to like do like this, right? So like in the sample, it went right. So
Yeah.
that was cool and everything. And then I think like years later, Genuine did like the pony with the brr, brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr, you know what I'm saying? So that was real cool. So that was like one of the genesis of my music. And I think like years before, I think when I was like 1 or 2 or 3, around that age period, I used to like sing and do like a little dance. Like my mother used to take me over to like the spot where they used to like eat, and the Koreans in Harlem on the corner of 126th Street and Lenox Avenue. It's now Sylvia's also, but before it was the place called the Japs. So I used to be there, like, singing and dancing because when I was a little kid, I used to watch TV, and then I saw Michael Jackson, and
Ooh.
and Michael Jackson kind of like was amazing because I used to have like a little afro, right? And he looked it just like me, right? And I was like, who's this kid? And I was like looking in the mirror, and then one minute I saw him as a kid, next minute I saw him as an adult, and then the next minute I saw him as a kid again. Next minute I saw him as a cartoon. So I was like, who is this? I didn't know the difference and everything. I just saw it was amazing. I was looking at this TV and I was like, how did this person turn into a cartoon one minute, a kid the next minute, then an adult another minute? And I was just like, so amazed at everything. So Michael Jackson had like a big impact, like a lot of us children. So I think that was like the real genesis. And then I just like, transition into like, the little Casio keyboard. And then from there, just getting into like, music, with the headphones, listening to like instrumentals and all that stuff. When I was a kid, they used to have like cassette tapes and all that stuff with the we used to call it maxis. You used to always get the maxis because the maxis was the ones that had the instrumental on the other side, the B side. So with the B side, I was able to like, write my rhymes and all of that stuff, spit some bars and all that stuff. And then I used to go over to the Zulu Nation anniversary or the Zulu Nation MC and DJ battle. And that was like really dope. So that was like really I was doing that throughout high school, like in the 90s. So
Nah,
that was like that was my genesis and all that stuff,
nah, that's fire. I like you brought up some great things. Michael Jack. I feel like we all had that moment as a kid with Mike. We seen Mike Jack, and he just like we was just like, wow, man, this dude's gliding on air, doing spin moves, dancing. Like he was the definition of an artist, a performer. Like music, he's making sounds with his voice. Like, he's dancing to it. Just everything's tight. Like, Mike, the outfit was crazy. He was the definition of art, man. And
Yes.
I love that you brought that out. Um, but one of the other things I heard was that your parents got you a Casio. Was music like a thing in your family? You have artists in your family, or is that are you the one off?
Nah, nah. That was I think my father used to be, you see, my father was the one who raised me. So he used to be taking me out to like the place downtown, like a Radio Shack. And
You helped out
back
with
then
Radio Shack.
they had like Crazy Yeti, and they had like places where, we used to get like, TVs and just like electronic equipment. And I looked at it and I saw like a keyboard, I think. And then I was like, Dad, I want a keyboard. I want a keyboard. I want a keyboard. So he ended up getting it for me. And that was like a dope moment and everything. I used to be like on that keyboard, like, like crazy. And it's a small keyboard too. I think it's probably like the size of the Akai MPK Mini, maybe just a little bigger. I think it's like probably the size of the Akai MPC Live.
Mm.
But that shit was like big to me though, man.
Oh, that's right.
That
No,
was
I was
real.
just wondering if maybe you caught the bug from a family member, but it just seemed like the creativity was just inside of you, ready to come out at some point.
Yeah. But you know what? Because we're a foundational Black American, right? A lot of us have like, the singing roots and everything, from like singing on the railroads. And my mother's from South Carolina, my father's from North Carolina. So, there's like a lot of, ancestral roots in reference to like, being creativity and survival and just doing things that's innovative and all that stuff. So I guess, somewhere down the line, oh yeah, my brother Tony, He's my third oldest brother, and he was like, he had like a beautiful voice and all of that stuff. So Tony was like, known for down south for like, singing and stuff like that. So he was like the talented one that was like, very creative in the family.
Yeah, I feel that because with me and my family, I was always trying to get my hand into music because I was raised in the church. My granddad was a pastor, and I grew up watching my cousin Marcus. He's on the drums. All the girls is looking at him, looking at. There's another brother named Tori. He was on the piano. I'll never forget the day in church, like in the middle of the sermon. You know how you're on the organ playing the music to hype the pastor up. This dude's this dude Tori was playing more money, more cash, more what on the organ. I was like, oh, that is fire, yo. Like, I need to get with that. And I went to my granddad and I was like, I need to be a part of the band. Like I need to do something. He gave me a bass. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I was trying to play it, never worked out. Then I tried the trumpet. Trumpet was cool. I learned how to play the recorder. Um, but definitely that experience of like getting to play with a bunch of instruments was cool. But my next question to you is with being basically an artist, man. I'm gonna say like you're an artist, you're creative. Um, being in that creative state, do you ever feel like you get distracted a lot, or is it just like you just feel like you go with the flow of creativity?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I'll say it like this. There's so many, how can I say, elements that can like, influence your creativity. Sometimes the elements around you can also be distracting as well too, especially if you're in a harsh environment. Friends, people who's around you can help you, boost you, or distract you, or suppress you, and all that stuff. I remember one time I had an opportunity to be on LL Cool J's 13th album. I was in the studio with him, and because of the person I was with at that time, because he gave me like a negative energy and everything, like don't do it, man. No, no, no. That kind of like pushed me. That kind of like destroyed the motivation and the energy. Sometimes the people that surround you could be dream makers, help you enhance your dream, and then there's some who could like destroy your dream. Sometimes it's intentional on purpose, sometimes it's not intentional, but you have to be careful sometimes of the people that surround you in your circle and all. And also, as a kid, growing up, I was abused. I went through like a lot of shit, right? Sometimes, the older folks in your family or the people in your family who may not have succeed or achieved a lot in their life or accomplish their dreams, and they kind of like how can I say um, compromised or like just went with the flow, and they see somebody with a light, they'll try to suppress it.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you know? You only 12 years old. And next thing you know, you 16. What do you know? You only 16. What do you know? You only 18. What do you know? You only 20. Oh, you think you know everything because you got some college education? That type of mentality and everything. Or if you're trying to do something, you're like, oh, cut. Is it okay to curse on you?
Go crazy, man.
All right, cool, cool, cool,
We
cool.
cultivated.
I just want to respect the
We
it's
cultivated.
the professionalism because
Don't
I've
go
been
too
doing.
crazy. But
I got you. I
you know,
got you.
'cause you know what I
It's
mean.
like what do you know? You only know this and you only know that, right? And it's real sad. It's real sad. It's like no matter how old I get or educated, it's not good enough. And sometimes people will try to like, suppress your dreams and be like very abusive and everything because they ain't accomplished their dreams and goals. And like I said, sometimes your light will show a person's darkness, and you just gotta like stay away from like those type of people.
Yeah, it's like the vampire effect.
Yeah.
Definitely a vampire draining the light. And you definitely need to keep that going. Some artists, they take their places of darkness and turn it into a creation of light. To bring them out of that space. It's like you're your own recharging battery. Like whatever you go through, like you use your art to get you in and out of those situations. So there's people that are like that and just go with the flow of life, because life ain't always on the up. Sometimes it's on the down, but you got to always find a way to keep a smile on your face. But then there's those people that just have had their smile removed from their personality, and they don't know that they're doing that to other people. That doubt on individuals while they're doing great things. Definitely can relate to that, and I definitely can understand what you with that, and especially as an artist, creator. I definitely can see how that could be a hindrance in your career, because like you're pulling in your different experiences that you're having in life, um, to now project that into the world as a light. And some people don't like that. Some people don't like
Yeah.
that. They don't have that ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll see you do something and be like, cut that shit out. Like,
Yeah,
like what you doing? Like that's nonsense. Like, why are you playing those video games and all that stuff? Now look what's going on now. You got these kids out here playing video games and making millions of dollars and all that stuff. T-Pain just made an interview recently. He said that he make more money now playing video games than he was making music.
yep. I remember seeing that. That was
Yeah.
wild. I never
So
would think
so
that.
yeah, so it's like, sometimes you got people who just like quick to like, just dim your light or stomp out your fire and all of that stuff, because
Exactly.
because they don't understand. And it's like people hate what they don't understand, or fear what they hate don't what they don't understand. You understand? Or
Yeah, I get what you're
all,
saying.
all of those type of things, it's a three circle.
Yeah. So we done talked about kind of where you got your creativity from, the genesis of David McFly. Let's get into some of the projects you've worked on. I would love to hear some of those. I've seen some of the flyers for She's Broken. I know we've discussed I Love Me More. Can you talk about those projects?
Okay, thank you. Well, She's Broken is film broken into like a series on Tubi. It's about a woman who channels her pain, black woman who channels her pain and transition it into strength, and that make her a female action hero.
Fire.
So it's gonna be like some serious ass kicking in the film. So definitely check that out. All right.
I definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yep.
That's on Tubi, you said, right?
She's broken on Tubi.
All right.
And it got some interesting people on it. We got Nicki Minaj's mother, Miss Carol Mirage. So she got like her acting chops in there. And we got some other people, check it out. Let's see what else. The I Love Me More podcast. It's a podcast by Dr. Jamila T. Davis and Tara Wallace. Tara Wallace is from Love and Hip Hop. Also, Dr. Jamila T. Davis. She's also been on American Gangster on BET. She spent about almost 10 years in prison for bank fraud. And, she came out just doing like so much extraordinary things, having positive impacts on people. So definitely check out Dr. Jamila T. Davis. I'll say with the I Love Me More podcast, it's a podcast that is on the Black Women's Lives Matter channel on YouTube. And it's about, turning women's pain into strength, because a lot of women that was like the guest that was on the show, we have like some phenomenal people. Miss Tanisha Welch from the BMF, the first BMF lady. We got her on it. We got Miss Keisha Yuri. She's a deputy mayor of Newark, New Jersey. We got so many, dope, interesting guests. Miss Topeka Sam. She's from the LOHM, the Ladies of Hope Ministries. She served some years in prison. Miss Aisha Hall. She's an entertainer, a rapper, an educator, an innovator. It's just so many dope and interesting people on the podcast. So definitely check it out. I Love Me More podcast on YouTube, and it's also on Apple as well too. So it made on the first few weeks, it made number 5 on the Apple.
Oh, that's
On the
fire.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah, yeah. So definitely, it got like a lot of hits, and it's definitely dope. And it provides like a lot of good resources as well too. To like help women through pain, the mental health, all of those type of things. So that's another thing that I've been working on. Another thing I've been working on that I really love is working with Dr. Jamila T. Davis in education. Um, like this past year, we've been at Essex County Community College in Newark, New Jersey, and we had like an entrepreneurship program, which teaches kids from 13 and up entrepreneurship, how to like start their business. So during the summer, we had a kid named Ryan. He opened up a restaurant in East Orange, Newark, New Jersey, with his family. It's been on the news. Also, we have like other kids that have been having like forming LLCs, pop-up shops. One started a financial business to help kids be more financially literate. Last year we had a wrap up, and we had Lauren Hill and her son YG Marley do a performance for the students, and she loved how the kids presented their business so much that she brought the students to her concert in Newark, New Jersey.
Wow, that's
So yeah,
fire.
yeah, yeah.
That's fire. You're in a lot of great things, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because the thing is like if you're not a part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. I know you're doing like a lot of great things, with your mother, your family, out in Boston as well too. So big ups to you,
I appreciate that.
because like I said, if you're not a part of the solution, then you're a part of the problem. It's like we don't want to see like the violence that goes on in the community. We don't want to see parents burying their children in this environment. We should have an environment where the children supposed to bury their parents when the parents get old, not the other way around. So definitely big up to you and your family with what y'all doing as well too.
I appreciate that. That serving the community is something that's big in my family, especially with my mom but actually on both sides. Like that was just something that they was like raised off. Like you don't have to be someone's blood during their time for you to be seen as family. I got a lot of family members that are blood, but they lived on the same block, so they became family. Like they spent so much time together that they seen each other as family, and that's something that's like missing in today's day and age. And one of the things I like that you're doing, I call it passing the baton. Like as you are gaining access and as you're moving forward in your career, you never forget to look back and hand that baton off to somebody else so that they can go off and be great, and take some of the things that you can do and the things you have access to and open it up to a whole new world for them. So I like that you're doing that as well. So big ups to you. Um, with some of these projects, can you talk about how you got to this point? Like some of the names you were naming, like to be around these type of individuals. I'm sure this isn't your first spin. There's been like ups and downs to get to this point. Can you talk about like how you got here?
Wow. I could say like back in high school. I'll say like when I was a kid, right? Just being in the environment of the people. I remember when I was in high school, we had a school trip, right? To I think it was a music college that was by Columbia University, and Q-Tip was there from Tribe Called Quest. So, he was talking about like, royalties, how much he gets paid off of every album and stuff like that. And I was like, that was very interesting. So I approached up to Q-Tip after, and I told him like, I do music and everything. How can I get into the music. So he gave me a number and he said, speak to Mona. I think I was like about 16, maybe 17 at that time, right? So I called. I think I called one time because I was doing a talent show in my high school, right? And I called up and I said that I wanted Tribe Called Quest to come to the school. They said, "You got $10,000?" I said, "I'm only in high school. I don't got that kind of money." So that was a funny experience and everything. But I always kept in contact, right? So like when I went to college, I sent a letter over there and wanted to do an intern and everything. I said like, Q-Tip introduced me, got the contact number and stuff like that. So I ended up interning. So I ended up working like with Buster Rhymes, Missy Elliott, Next, the group R&B group Next, Prodigy from Mobb Deep, rest in peace. So it was like a lot of dope people that I came across. And the interesting thing was is that at the time, um, they shared the same office with Def Jam. So I was like in the same floor with Jay Z. I remember I used to see like Jay Z just the reason why Jay Z is where he's at now because he wasn't just like just like an artist just coming in and out. He used to stay like in the office like before open and after hours, after like office hours was closed and everything. I caught Jay-Z like bouncing a basketball, dribbling in the hall, and he thought nobody was looking. I was like, I saw some like real cool moments, with Jay-Z, saw Ja Rule, Eric Sermon and stuff like that. Eric Nixon, shout out to Chris Lighty, rest in peace, Chris Lighty and Mona Scott. So that's the number that Q-Tip gave me to and told me to speak with Mona. So this was before Mona did Love and Hip Hop, and I was real cool with Mona. She was like an angel and everything. She had her son Justin, and before they got married, Sean was there as well too. Sean was the road manager for Busta Rhymes, and he did like road managing for other people as well too. And I worked under Brian Jones, so now he's one of the producers for Love and Hip Hop and all that stuff.
Right.
So it's like a lot of history and everything. And Brian Jones came from Uptown Records. So he used to work with Andre Harrell, George Harrell. He's still around. Andre passed away a couple of years ago. Rest in peace. George Harrell is still in Harlem. So he does like a lot of work with the Harlem Chamber of Commerce. So it was like a lot of, good history and all that stuff. So I'll say, that was like, the genesis and everything, you know. Then I ended up like, leaving because I wanted to like, finish with school, college and everything. And, I'm kind of like a Wolverine, if you know how Wolverine was in the comics, he
Yeah.
was with the
He be in and
X-Men,
out of the X-Men
in and
on a
out,
whim.
go to the Avengers, So I was like, that type of person. I was the type of person who was like, with my crew, in the block, and then I leave, be by myself, go through my own journeys and stuff like that. So I ended up like, leaving, you know, leaving it to like, continue my education and do like, a couple of other things as well too. So throughout that, I was doing like, video, um, started like, do some video editing, right? So my boy Eamon, that I grew up with, if you know Eamon Joseph, if you watch the TV show Snowfall, that's Uncle Jerome. So me and Eamon, we met. The first time we met was in the hospital. I dislocated my knee when I was like 15 years old, and I was in the hospital with my kneecap dislocated, and Eamon was like in the same room with me across the room with his back. He had a back injury. So that's how we met and everything. We was like in the same block, same area where we was like, hanging out at. So that's how we met. So we end up like, hanging out in the streets, rapping and stuff like that. Eamon raps too. If you go on YouTube, he did a video with Lean, and he appeared as Uncle Jerome. So he was like, rapping. He did a song. I'll hit you with the link later on for you to check it out.
I appreciate
So
that.
so it was like a lot of interesting things. I did like his acting reel as well too, because he was doing like a lot of at that time, before he ended up like moving out to Cali. He was doing like a lot of acting gigs and stuff like that. So he came to me and wanted me to like help him, get his acting reel together. So I did his acting reel, and he ended up like getting an agent and stuff like that, and then he ended up going out to California. So he ended up doing like a lot of dope work. He did one of his first before Snowfall. He did Zane Sex Chronicles, and he played Tyreek, the rapper Tyreek, from the Zane Sex Chronicles. And there was like a scene. If you go on if you go on YouTube and you type up Chino Excel and Zane Sex Chronicles, you'll see him going against Eamon on that. So rest in peace, Chino. He just passed away a few weeks ago. He's a dope and extraordinary rapper, a legend. So he did that. He did The Mist by Stephen King. The Mist. That was one of his first major roles. He was one of the soldiers that got caught and ended up being caught up in the spider webs and all of that stuff. So he did that. He did The Mist. He did G.I. Joe. He did The Expendables. He was in Baywatch, Fighting the Rock. He did like so many. His catalog is long. It's definitely long. And then he ended up doing like Snowfall, which is John Singleton's last legacy um, projects. So I met John Singleton before um, Snowfall. Busta Rhymes had a show years ago at the Rock the Bells, and this was like the same day that he got arrested. Busta Rhymes and John Singleton was there, so we was like in his tent, his cabin, and I met John Singleton, and I helped. I did some work with using like their camera to like do some footage and everything, and I actually got like a lot of the footage of Busta Rhymes like years ago of him like doing performances and stuff like that. So because Busta's still planning to do a documentary on himself. um
Fire. You got some some backstage footage.
yeah. So yeah, some good history and all that stuff. So going back to John Singleton, the last time I saw him was when they did the first season of Snowfall, and they did a premiere at the Schomburg Library on 135th Street and Lenox Avenue. So I was like backstage, in the dressing room with with Damson Idris before he even got big, and all of the cast and all of that stuff. So I got some like exclusive photos on that, and I told John Singleton like thank you for giving my boy Eamon a chance. And his role was originally for Debo, who passed away. But a couple of things was going on with the studio, so he wasn't able to like get that on part. But Eamon was fortunate to get that. So now, because of that, he's a culture icon. Like this year, he just got nominated on the NAACP Image Awards for playing Uncle Jerome in Snowfall. So I'm glad that I'm really happy that I played a part, in reference to like helping them get to like that stage and all that.
Wow, that's fire. And
Yeah.
it sounds like it's like a combination. You grew up in New York, right?
Yep, Harlem.
Home. So like, the arts is part of the vibe out there. It's in the air. And it just
Yep.
seems like you just stay like whenever you can lend a helping hand, like you lend a helping hand, and that's honestly put you in a lot of great spaces. Just being in the right spot at the right time, just being willing to help out as best as you can, doing what you can for these individuals. Is that like a networking technique you use?
Yo, let me tell you something. A lot of these things I end up Forrest Gumping in. Did you see the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Remember how Forrest Gump just happened to just like walk by something and just end up happening to
Yeah,
be in a historical moment? That's how life is sometimes. Sometimes life, you plan on doing something straightforward, and sometimes you may not necessarily get into it, but you walk around the corner and you might just bump into something that just like leads you into that.
yeah,
So that's how like a lot of stuff like end up happening. You know, trust me, a lot of things wasn't always good. It was. I went through like a lot of dark moments in my life. I'll say when I was like 20 years ago, my pops passed away, and that kind of like put me in a depression and stuff like that. So I ended up putting like a lot of stuff away for a while, but then I ended up like getting back into it, and then sometimes things like the question that you asked earlier, like sometimes things can distract you. Sometimes not just your friends or the people that's in your circle, sometimes your girlfriends can also be in a distraction as well too. Especially if you're not really wise or mature on things. Sometimes the pussy could get you really, really, really distracted and all that stuff. So that can be like an issue as well too. But like fortunately, I was still focused enough to like maintain my independence. Like being able to have my own apartment, being on my own 2 feet, because my father raised me to be on my own 2 feet. He told me like never be helpless because a woman will take advantage of that. And that kind of like helped me like throughout the years.
yeah.
And
That's good.
yeah.
Because like when you told me about when you just had brought up like your father passed, and I had a similar situation. My father passed 5 years ago,
My
and
condolences.
yeah, he was a good man, and he was honestly like my best friend. I could talk to him about anything. There was nothing in life that I couldn't talk to my dad about, and he was like best friends, but still authoritative figure. So like the best friend you could have that could accountable to be the best that you could be. That's how my dad was. And when I lost him, I was in the dark. Well, he ended up just doing a random just sabbatical to Europe. I had a friend in Europe. I was just like, yeah, I'm just trying to get out of the states, just clear my head for a little bit, just because I couldn't think, man. I couldn't really think. Every single day, I really didn't want to get out the bed. I just lost my best friend,
Yeah.
and I couldn't like that creative side because I'm always doing something. I'm just one of those people. My friends are always like, "Yo, how do you manage all this stuff?" It's just like, this is just how I gotta be to exist. Like this is just normal me. It's doing things and being active. And if I'm not doing that, something's off. And my dad passing away, I just stopped everything. I stopped hanging out with friends. I stopped going to parties. Stop drinking, period. Just because
Hmm.
in my head, I'm just like, if I drink now, it's just gonna get worse, man. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to get into any any emotional uh drama that I don't need. So I was just like, might as well, I've never been to Europe. My friend's about to get married in Switzerland. Let me leave a month early and just go to Europe for a little bit
Yeah.
and check out Europe. So I went to London and just was traveling, seeing a whole bunch of different things, just like different cultures, different way of life out there. Um, every day was an adventure. So it was like a way for me to snap back into who I was because ultimately, at the end of that trip, I went to Switzerland, I went to London, Germany, um, Zurich. Uh, these are both in Switzerland, Zurich and Geneva. And I was just all throughout London, and it's just like I needed that at the time, and it capped off so well because like the last week I came back to London. I got a job offer to start going into vertical farming, which was a complete like 180 from what I was doing. I was in construction, and and now I'm in construction of vertical farm. So it was just something totally new, but I was so ready for it at the moment because I just came out of that dark place and I just, got my vibe back. And that leads to my next question is just like when you've gone through these dark moments, like what is it that helps you like snap out of it? Do you use your work to snap out of it? Is it like the people that you put yourself around, the new environments? Like do you see yourself utilizing your atmosphere and the things that you're around to take you out of that dark place and get you back to your creative side.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Um, well, my dark times didn't really start from when my father died. My dark moments happened when I was like a kid, like 5 years old. My father was my hero. It's not Superman, not Batman, not the Avengers. It was my father because, I wouldn't even live to see 7 years old if it wasn't for my father because I was raped at 5 years old. You understand? Not by a woman, but by a man. You understand? Because my mother neglected me. I was one of those kids that used to walk the streets with my ribs showing. You understand? And, my mother used to leave me in different places, like bags of luggage. You understand? And shit was happening to me. You understand? So my father noticed something was going on, but he couldn't pinpoint it. And I couldn't really tell him because I knew my father the way he was. I wouldn't even have a father because my father would have killed somebody. You understand? So as a kid, I knew that, because my father was really old school. You know, he had me at 60 and he didn't look his age. Um, you have the image of young Samuel Jackson cussing around, cussing everybody out. That was my pops, like those old 70 movies where you have like that aggressive black man, like motherfucker, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like all
Yeah.
that shit. That was my pops and everything. My pops had no fear, and he was an equal opportunist. So he was, he gave, both women and men the same energy, the same heat, you know. And the stuff that my father did back in the days, to like, save me. If that would have happened today, my pops would have been in jail. Yeah, you understand? And because of that, I love my pops for that. That's my hero. And shortly after my father passed, I started to like, get back into, you know, what was supposed to be normalcy, from like, work, meditating, all of that stuff, having good people in my circle. But then you know, my mother passed like years later. And that hit me hard because I had like a lot of pain for my mom, because I didn't really understand or couldn't figure out like why, was my mom behaving this type of way. You understand? I have like 7 brothers and 3 sisters, and each of us have our own father, except for 2 of us, because my mother was like in the streets like that. So I knew something was wrong with my mom because of certain type of behaviors that she was doing. And I approached to my mom and she didn't tell me. And but after she passed, the medical examiner, said that, she passed away from HIV. And when I looked through like some of the papers, after she passed in the house, she had found out she had residual schizophrenia. So that kind of like, brought like a big depression. And I kind of like, did like a lot of research on it, researching myself and all of that stuff as well, you know. because these type of things is important because then you start to understand why certain people behave the way they are, the way family is, and stuff like that. You know, so that was like that was like a heavy depression, and then when I started to like get back. 7 months after, I almost got killed by the police, the NYPD. 2 days after my father's birthday, and my father's birthday was the 27th. I almost got killed on the 29th during the Hurricane Sandy storm, and it was just like police brutality, and I had to force the officer off, to survive, and then they try to use that and weaponize that. Um, trying to give me felonies and stuff like that, and so much psychological tricks that the court system tried to like play on me, and they tried to lock me up for a short period, for like a few weeks, to see if I make a plea and stuff like that. It was just like a lot. So that was like a depression. So I had to go through psychological therapy and everything, and try to give me like some medication, but then I ended up like having a doctor, a black doctor, that was like looking at me and was like, "Oh, you don't need that medication." So I went through like another form of therapy and stuff like that, which helped. So it's a lot, like depression doesn't hit everyone the same, and not everyone heals the same way. Like you go through one thing, you may have to heal one way, another way, a different way, and all that stuff. So, parting the sirens, you know how it is up in here in New York.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to depression, it's so many dynamics, to it. Um, I'll say like around when my father passed away, how I was handling depression was like the Marvin Gaye song "Sexual Healing." So I was like, having sex with like a lot of women and stuff like that. You know, thank God I didn't get no diseases or get anybody pregnant. But that was like a form of therapy in a way. But there's only so much that you could do and everything. You understand? Um, Same thing when my mother passed. A little bit of that. Um, and just really just trying to get back on your feet, because as a man, a black man in society, we don't really have those type of resources, or even the time to like sit and heal, because many of us, if we're living alone, we have to pay our rent, pay our bills and stuff like that. So it's like have to get back to work.
Mhm.
You understand? So for us, it's not really that easy, when it compared to like women. When women go through certain things, they can have time to go to like a therapist or so. If they do claim that something is wrong, or want to like seek help. But for like us men, we have to like suppress that. And a lot of that stuff comes from slavery as well too, because a lot of times when it came to like the slave, if the slave had certain type of mental illness, or a certain type of physical injury and everything, they try to hide it, because if the slave masters find out something is wrong with the person, they end up killing them.
Yeah.
So that stuff. That's the reason why, like in the black community, a lot of us try to like hold that, or try to like deal with it ourselves and everything. But as a man, especially if we're the provider or living by ourselves, we don't really have that time or that luxury to like really sit down and try to rest, or just doing what's really needed, or like what's really necessary to heal. But it's also positive, it's also good to like really have good people like in your circle,
Yeah.
like friends to check up on you, like, hey Dave, you all right? um I remember I had one of my friends gave me a call, and I haven't spoke with her in a long time. Nicole from Brooklyn, and she took me out bowling. She took me out bowling with a couple of old friends that we used to work with, and that kind of like helped me. So it was like so many different dynamics that kind of like played a part, to keep my mind focus away from the pain
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Thank God I didn't go into like alcohol or drugs because I don't drink or smoke.
that's good.
Yeah,
But
but
it sounds like first and foremost, I want to say sorry that happened to you, man.
yeah.
But it seems like you just through life you figured it out. And from our conversations prior, it sounds like you kind of using this in some of your community work. Mental health sounds like it's something that is on the forefront of your mind and making sure people's mental health are good,
Oh
especially in these
yes.
type of times. Can you expound on that and how
Oh
you
yes.
use that
Oh
thing,
yes.
how you do
I,
that in community?
yes. Thank you. I'll say it like this. One of the things that I did to like help was just being involved in the community because I was always involved in the community. Like I used to work in a homeless shelter for like several years before my mother passed. So I was always like in tune. I saw from like working in a homeless shelter kind of like changed my views on life because I saw when people were up, when certain things happened to them, how they end up having nothing and then being in the shelters. Then I saw people who had nothing end up getting up, get out of the shelters, and end up becoming in good positions. Like one ended up becoming a director of the shelter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you understand. So some end up like working for like the shelter. So I start to like look at things a lot different and start to see and notice um what a lot of men be going through. Like I saw like when men when they come from prison they get mandated to the shelters. Some was like living with their girlfriends under their roof, and so as they get upset or catch a fit they kick their man out, so they end up being in the shelters and stuff like that. So that kind of like changed my perspective in life. And then after I left that, and when I almost got killed and my mother passed, and now so that was like a double trigger. So like within that was like 7 months apart from like my mother passing and on me almost getting killed, and then I have to go through a year going back and forth with the pressure of um, going into like court and everything because the lawyers that I had um, wasn't really trying to be by my side because this was before Eric Garner. So this was before cameras, like cell phone cameras, end up becoming popular. So like when that happened to me, this was like in the dark. And one of the only reasons why, I was able to like, make it because there was like some people in the building right in front of like where it happened was in the balcony. And the police was like, threatening them and stuff like that, but they couldn't do anything to them because I was in the balcony and all that stuff. They was pushing people out of the street, but because they beat me for like several minutes. I was beaten by like some officers for like several minutes. So one of the reasons why I made it from the case was because of I had people made written statements and everything. So I was before Eric Garner. The only difference between me and Eric Garner is that I survived, but it was no cameras. So I ended up becoming friends with the Eric Garner family as well too. Um, I ended up like doing work with the National Action Network, Al Sharpton's organization, with the Youth Huddle. So that was like a form of therapy as well too, because I was able to like share my pain, my experiences, and stuff like that. Because a lot of kids was going through like a lot of trauma, pain, and stuff like that, and looking for like guidance and everything. And it
Here
was
you come. Here
yeah,
you come
yeah,
with the solutions.
yeah, yeah. So that was like form of therapy as well as giving therapy.
Yeah.
So shout out to Ashley Sharpton, Al Sharpton's daughter. She's beautiful, great spirit, and Dominique Sharpton. Ashley's the baby. So she was definitely doing like a lot in reference to like helping the community. It was going to like protests and stuff like that. So I was actually on the panel with Eric Garner's daughter, Emerald Garner. I was on the panel with Sean Bell's family, Amadou Diallo, Mike Brown's father, and everything. And one of the things about that made me stand out in the panel was that I was the only person that was a victim that survived. Everybody else, their loved ones unfortunately passed away. So this was like the families of the victims of the police brutality and stuff like that. When I was actually a victim who survived and all. And
And it's like it's good that you've been able to, go not good that you went through the situations, but coming out of those situations, not only have you been able to keep yourself sturdy, you've been able to pull back into the community. And
yeah,
and that's just,
yeah,
excuse me.
it's cool. It's
That's
cool.
just one of the things that I like to hear about stories like this, like the resilience. Life ain't we don't get to choose the cards that we're dealt, but to see people get dealt some ugly cards and come out with some wins, because like look at you on Tubi, you got podcasts, you're doing a lot of great things, and I love to see that. And my last question to you, and I always ask this of like all the people that come on the show, is to sow a seed of inspiration to the listeners. Is there like a word of advice or a message you want to give as we close out?
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you asked a lot of great questions and all that stuff. And I'd just like to compliment you on, your etiquette. You definitely have some real great professionalism. I'll
Appreciate that.
and I'll answer the question in reference to this. Be around people who's going to breathe life into you, and not be around those who will suck your energy, waste your time, drain your life away. And don't be afraid to be different, even if it means stepping away from family members, friends. If they really respect you, know how to value you, then they'll understand. And then when it's time for you to come back, everything will be all right. Don't try to be manipulated. To be a leader, sometimes you have to like make actions that not everybody's going to like agree. And I read that from Al Sharpton's book Rejected Stone. And let me see what else. There's a couple of things. Believe in yourself, even if nobody else is going to like really believe in you. And life is not going. Life is not always going to be how you expect it. You know, sometimes you may have to take the role of Dusty because not all gems are shiny. A lot of the gems that
That's a
you
bar
find,
right there. Hold on, hold on. Let me
yeah,
make note of that. Sometimes you gotta be dusty because not all gems are shiny. I like that one.
yeah, yeah. It's like the gems that you find is always in the dirt. It's like what 50 Cent said. I'm the diamond in the dirt that ain't been found. I'm the underground king and I ain't been crowned.
Mm.
So, if somebody calls you dusty or so, you may just have to like, just eat that, because when it's time for you to be polished and everything, now everybody wants you.
Mm.
But when you was like, dusty and stuff like that, people will look at you, kick you to the side and all of that stuff. So sometimes in life, you may have to like, take those type of roads that is uncomfortable or the roads that's not always been taken and all of that stuff.
Wow.
Because there's like a lot of ideas, inventions people looked at and thought was crazy, but end up coming to like, fruition and into like, reality. And those people, many of those people end up, benefiting and all that stuff. So, to and also be a part of the solution, don't be a part of the problem, have a heart and what you want to do what you want to do after you're gone. Like, how do you want to be remembered? You understand? Like, do you want to be remembered as somebody, who try to do something to try to make a positive change for the community? Or do you want to just like have your life just phase away? People just, you're not making an impact. And you understand? You have to have a certain type of impact to like, to help, bring a change into the world and all that stuff.
Wow, those are some great shares, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
those.
Yeah,
And as
believe in
you
yourself. You
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 was
you you're
talking,
doing like a lot of dope stuff with yourself, man. So
I
stay
appreciate that.
positive.
And I want to give you some more flowers, man, because this has been one of the most vulnerable conversations I've had. You've shared a lot of things that a lot of people like to keep to themselves. And one thing I always say is I think vulnerability is a superpower because not everybody can do that. It always reminds me of the scene from 8 Mile when B Rabbit finally stands up for himself in that last rap battle. He goes, "I am white. I am a bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom. My boy Peter is Uncle Tom.
That's
I did
interesting
get
that you
drunk.
mentioned
My
Eight
all six of
Mile.
you chumps and winked in my girl. I'm still standing here saying the free world." But then when he
Oh,
tells the truth about what is the guy named Clarence, Papa Doc,
uh-huh.
Papa Doc just standing there silent because he can't throw dirt on him because he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna throw all the dirt on me. Now let me see what you actually got other than just stepping on me and talking down on me. What else do you got other than that?"
Yes.
And he had nothing left. So
Oh, so
that
you know that movie very well?
yeah,
So
man.
Eminem's friend, right? The black guy that had the
Mackay Pfeiffer?
cornrows and
No,
and
the other one, the light skinned one.
the one with the glasses and the cornrows.
Yep.
Yeah, his name was D'Angelo Wilson. I knew him. And you know what happened with him?
No.
He ended up committing suicide.
Oh man, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. And that's why I take, mental health and depression, very serious because I came across like a lot of people, who suffered from it. And those times I felt like, taking, just, checking out. And sometimes you never know what people may be going through.
Mhm.
That's why like a lot of times when I meet people or even like, like sometimes being in social media or even in real life, sometimes you got to be careful of what you say because you can either breathe life into them, make them want to live, or make them feel suck the life out of them and make them want to just like die or kill themselves. And you don't want to have like that type of impact towards people. I definitely do believe in healing people and breathing life into like people, and especially to like us black men, because a lot of us is going through like a lot of pain and sometimes many times it's just overlooked you know
Yeah, and that's you want to be on the side of the solutions, man, because we don't know what people going through. But
yes.
this has been a fantastic conversation, man. I appreciate you for coming through on Cultivating Conversations. Before we leave, do you have any social media platforms where people can engage with you, reach out to you, hear more from you? You got any more projects on the way? Feel free to share those as we close out.
Thank you very much. I have a website in construction right now, so you can actually find me on Google. So you could Google me like Tiana Taylor. Shout out to Tiana Taylor, a Harlem girl. HDMcfly, HDMcfly. You could Google me, then you'll be able to find my Instagram, TikTok, um, whatever platforms that I'm. There's so many platforms. It's so hard to like remember.
Yeah.
So HD McFly and David McFly Mims. McFlyMims, and then you'll be able to like find me. And you could do almost a Where's Waldo thing, try to like seeking you shall find. But those who want to find me will be able to
They
find
know where
me.
to look.
Yeah, they'll be able. If you really want to find me, you'll find me.
All
if you
right,
if you're not finding me, you're not seeking hard enough.
that's a fact. Well, that's been Cultivating Conversations with your host, Farmer Jazz and McFly. Appreciate y'all for listening. Until next time, bye for now.
Peace.